today we are going to be learning about multiplying terms, okay? So multiplying algebraic terms. So this is the fourth lesson in the little video series on algebra. So, yeah, let's get to it. Right, so we know how to add and subtract algebraic terms. So now the next step obviously is to multiply. So when multiplying algebraic terms, so before we do the multiplication of it, I just want to bring your attention to something called the commutative property, which is nothing too complicated. Don't let the word freak you out. It just means, if I have 3 times 4, that's the same as 4 times 3. That's basically what the commutative property is. So like 3 times x is the same as x times 3, So this means that a change in the order of numbers does not change the result. So that's just a commutative property. So I thought I'd just share that with you now. Right, so when we are multiplying algebraic terms, we need to remember these two rules, okay? So the first algebra rule here is, so to multiply terms, it's coefficient by coefficient and then the variable by the variable, yeah? So it's the number part multiplied by the number part, and then it's the letter part multiplied by the letter part, yeah? So here's an example here. So I have a 2x times a 3x. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. So the number part by number part, so 2 times 3 is 6. And then the letter part by the letter part, or the variable by the variable, x times x. And we know x times x is x squared. Yeah, because anything multiplied by itself becomes a squared. And then the second rule we need to know is, when multiplying terms, we add the powers or indices of the variable if they're the same variable. So what do I mean by that? So looky here, I have a x squared multiplied by an x cubed, yeah? So if I'm multiplying them together, all I need to do is add the two powers on top. So an x squared multiplied by an x cubed is equal to an x to the power of 5, right? That's it. So simplify each of the following. So I have a 5 times a 2x. So as I remember, so coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. So here it is. So I have 5 times 2 times x. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times x. Well, can't simplify that anymore. So it's just going to be written as 10x. Yep. Second one. 2 times 3 y squared. So now remember the y squared part. The squared part here, that only applies to the y. Yeah. So I have 2 times 3, so the number part by number part, so 2 times 3 times the variable part, which is y squared. 2 times 3 is 6, y squared, there's no other variable part, so I'll leave the y squared as is, and then my answer is going to be 6y squared. And then finally, the last one here, so I have 2a times minus 3a squared. So remember, coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. So my coefficients together, so it'll be 2 times minus 3, because you see it's a minus 3 in front of my a squared here. So 2 times minus 3, and then multiplied by a times a squared. So 2 times minus 3 is going to be minus 6. And then a times a squared, well, I'm just going to add the powers on top. So if I just have an a on its own, that's going to have a little visible 1 on top. So it'll be 1 plus 2, which is 3. So it'll be a cubed, so it'll be minus 6a cubed. And now we're going on to the distributive property. Yeah, so now we're going to be multiplying terms with brackets. So in algebra, when we're asked to expand, we are being asked to remove brackets by multiplication. So remove the brackets of each of the following. So what we do here, we use the distributive property. And what the distributive property tells us is, whatever I have in front of my bracket, I multiply each term by that number. So I multiply this x by 2, and then I multiply that 2 by the 4. That's what the distributive property means. So let's do an example here. So we have 2 bracket x plus 4. So each term is multiplied by the outside term. So each of the inside terms, so each term inside my brackets is multiplied by the outside term. So I have 2 times x plus 2 times 4. Which is equal to 2x plus 8. And now I'm adding and subtracting like terms. Are there any like terms here? No, because I can't add x's with just numbers. So it is finito. It's done so. Cut print ME. Right, here's another example here. So minus 2 bracket 4y minus 1. Well, I get that minus 2, and now I multiply each term inside my bracket by minus 2. So it'll be minus 2 times 4y times minus 2 times 4y minus 2 times minus 1. So minus 2 times 4y. So coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. So minus 2 times 4 is minus 8. And bring down the y, so it'll be minus 8y. And then minus 2 times minus 1. Remember our rules of indices. A minus by a minus is a plus. So therefore that gives us a positive 2. And adding and subtracting like terms, I can't simplify that anymore, so therefore it's expanded, and that is my answer. So another one here, so 3 times 4a minus 3. Again, multiply each term on the inside by 3, so it'll be 3 times 4a plus 3 times minus 3. So remember, coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable, so 3 times 4 is 12, 12 times a is just a, and then 3 times minus 3 is going to be a negative 9. Remember, unlike signs give a negative. Then finally, here's one now. I have 2 brackets. I need to simplify. So first I need to give each bracket, each term in my first bracket a 5. And I need to multiply each term in my second bracket by a negative 3. So let's do that now. So I have 5 times 2a minus 5 times b. Now, what they just did here was, it's a positive 5, but they're multiplying by minus b. So they just took out the minus, but don't worry too much about that. Minus 3 times a, and then minus 3 times minus 2. I have 10a minus 5b minus 3a plus 6. Now I can add and subtract like terms, yeah? So I have a's, b's, and numbers. So let's sort them out first. So I have a 10a, and I have a minus 3a. So I'm able to group them together. So 10a minus 3a is going to be 7a. Then I have b's, and then I have numbers, and I don't have any other like terms. So I rearrange them here. So I have my a's next to each other, and then my b here on its own, and my 6 here on its own. So 10a minus 3a, so remember, I just subtract the coefficient, so 10 minus 3 is 7a. And I don't have any other b's, so I leave it as minus 5b, and I don't have any other numbers, so I leave it as 6. Okay, so that's multiplying with one bracket. Now, sometimes when we're multiplying brackets, we might have a variable on the outside of the bracket. So just remember, x times x is x squared, and x times x squared is x cubed, because there is a invisible little 1 in front of my, above my x, sorry, I should say, above my x. So x times x squared is going to be x cubed. Remember, I add the powers. That's where the squared comes from here. I have a 1 here, 1 here. Add the 1s together, I get the 2. So multiply out the following and simplify. So exact same as we did before, but I just have a variable component now in the term on the outside, my outside term. So now I multiply each term on the inside by a 2x. So expand it out, I have 2x times x plus 2x times minus 1. So remember, coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. So 2 times 1, well, I don't have anything here, so it'll be 2 times 1, so it'll just be 2. And then x times x is equal to x squared. And then finally, 2x times minus 1, well, anything multiplied by minus 1 is going to give me a negative, isn't it? So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 2x, and that's it simplifying. The next one, a times 2a squared minus 3, exact same as did it before. I multiply each term by an a, so it'll be a times 2a squared plus a times minus 3. So a times 2a squared, that's going to give me 2a cubed. And then a times minus 3 is going to give me minus 3a. So remember, like a little commutative property here, as I recalled a while ago. A times minus 3, that's going to be the same as 3 minus a. That's how I point that out. And then finally, the last one. This will be a harder example now. So I have 2x times x minus 3 minus 4x times x plus 3. So multiply out my 2x. So I do 2x times x, 2x times minus 3. Minus 4x times x, and minus 4x times 3. Now I simplify, so 2x 2x times x is 2x squared, because x times x is x squared, and I don't have any other coefficient. 2x times minus 3, that's going to be minus 6x, because 2 times minus 3 is minus 6, and x times nothing is just x. Minus 4x times x, that's going to give me minus 4 times x, minus 4x squared. And then finally, minus 4x times 3, coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. 3 times minus 4 is minus 12, and then x by nothing is 1, is itself, which is x. So I have 2x squared minus 6x minus 4x squared minus 12x. Now I need to add and subtract some like terms here. So I need to gather up my x squareds, and then I need to gather up my x's. Because remember, x squareds and x's are not like terms. They have different indices or powers. So let me just rearrange that now so they're all kind of closer together. So 2x squared minus 4x squared. So remember, like terms, I'm just adding or subtracting the coefficients. So that'll be 2 minus 4, which is negative 2x squared. And then minus 6x minus 12x. So that's going to be minus 6 minus 12. So that's going to be equal to minus 18x. And that's it, simplified. I can't simplify it anymore because these are not like terms and I cannot add unlike terms. Right, okay. Finally, now we're going to be doing it with two brackets. So, what I want you to do for this one is, so now I have two brackets. I have here bracket x plus 1 times bracket x plus 7. What I do here is I get the first term of my first bracket and multiply it by the second bracket. And then I get the second term and multiply it by the second bracket. So I'll show you an example here. So I get this x and then multiply it all by x plus 7. So x times x plus 7, and then I have the plus 1, and it'll be plus 1 times x plus 7. So now I use my distribute property again. So I multiply each term in here by an x and each term in here by a 1, which is very similar to what we were doing in the last video. So, well, last section. So x times x, well, that's going to give me x squared. X times 7 is 7x. 1 times x is just x, or 1x. And then 1 times 7 is just 7. So now I have x squared plus 7x plus 1 plus 7. Add and subtract my like terms here. Do I have any other x squareds? No, I don't. I have two x terms here. So I have a 7x plus a 1x. So I'm going to put them together. And then I just finally just have a 7. So my equation then simplifies down to x squared plus 8x plus 7. And that's it simplified. So let's have a look at the other two now. So 2x plus 3 times x minus 2. So it's the exact same process as the last time. I get my first term in my first bracket, multiply it by the second bracket. And I get my second term in the first bracket and multiply it by the second bracket here. So I get the 2x multiplied by x minus 2. I get the 3 multiplied by x minus 3. So I have 2x times x plus 2x times minus 2 plus 3x times minus 2. And now we simplify. So it'll be 2x times x, which is going to give me 2x squared, because x times x is x squared. 2x times minus 2, that's going to be minus 4x, because coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. So it'll be 2 times minus 2, which will be minus 4, and then x, and we don't have any other variable parts to bring the x down. 3x, 3 times x is going to be 3x, and then 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. Again, add and subtract my like terms. I don't have any other x squared, so I'm going to leave that on its own. I have two x terms here, so I'm going to add them together, and then I just have a minus 6, and I don't have any other numbers, so I am going to leave it. So I have minus 4x plus 3x, so remember, I'm just adding and subtracting the terms here. So it'll be minus 4 plus 3, which is going to be minus x. And my final answer is going to be 2x squared minus x minus 16. Oopsies, something dropped. So let's have a look at the last example here. So now I have a 3x minus 2 squared. So this is where it gets a bit... So, oh, sounded like a villager there. Anyway, so 3x minus 2 squared. So when I have something squared, I'm multiplying it by itself, aren't I? So if I have a bracket squared, that means I'm squaring the entire bracket. So that in turn is going to be 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. And then it's the exact same process as before. I get my 3x here, multiply it by my second bracket, and I get my minus 2 multiplied by my second bracket. So it'd be 3x times 3x minus 2, minus 2 times 3x minus 2, multiply it out. I got 3x times 3x plus 3 times minus 2, minus 2 times 3x, minus 2 times minus 2. 3x times 3x, so coefficient by coefficient, variable by variable. 3 times 3 is 9, x times x is x squared. 3x times minus 2 is going to be minus 6. Minus 2 times 3x is going to be minus 6, because minus 2 times 3 is minus 6, and x, there's no order x's, so we'll leave it on its own. And then minus 2 times minus 2 is going to be a positive 4, because a minus by minus is a plus. So I have 9x squared minus 6x plus 4. Do I have any like terms? Yes, I do. So I don't have any other x squared term. I have 2 x terms and I have 1 number term. So I'm going to group my x terms together to be minus 6 times minus 6, which is going to be minus 12. And that's it for this video. Right, so hope this helps you with your homework, and a few examples you can look over there for yourself. And the next video I'm going to be making is on writing algebraic expressions. So stick around for that one. Anyway, and yeah, I shall see you girls later.